Do you think that your next book would be fantasy fiction and would take off from this day and time when we all found ourselves sitting indoors hiding from a virus?
Well, this month's book is Exhalation by Ted Chiang, and amazingly, that's Ice behind
That's
me.
Icy. Hi, Icy.
Hi, Icy. Say hi. But the book was suggested by my brother, and it's science fiction, which is so today's time because suddenly, the problems of today is different. The world we are living in is different, and yet I didn't want something dark. And my brother told me suggested this book because this is a series of short stories which are science fiction. By the way, I started my book club with a science fiction book, Wool, and it's one of my favorite genres. And this is a very uplifting book. The stories are very uplifting and very human and uplifting. And I thought it was ideal for today's time. We are living in a kind of science fiction. I mean, the books that we read, this was something that could happen in future, and we are living in that future. And but that future calls for some uplifting reading, and I really wanted something human and uplifting while being science fiction. And this was the book that was suggested, and I'm really looking forward to reading it.
Oh, you haven't finished it? You've just started it?
I haven't started it, I'm starting it today. I
Oh,
was in my fantasy fiction world, and I just wanted to finish a bit of that.
you do some really fun things on Instagram as well. For someone who pretends to not be technologically advanced, how are you so good at all those videos? The last bunch I saw, you did immunity boosters, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Actually, it's just, I was feeling very shy about talking about it because, I mean, there's not, what's the proof and where is the science behind it? And I don't know all of that. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist. But I
You're
don't know.
just a person who's survived and been through it. Maybe that makes you the most qualified expert.
I don't know if this was the reason, but this is something that I've done. And I just thought that I was feeling a bit shy about it, but I felt I needed to share it because this is something that I have done for the last 2 years. And I did go through it's when you go through cancer treatment and when your immunity is literally zero, especially when you go through your chemo and there is no immunity and your body is defenseless in that sense. And at that point, to never get an infection and to survive without having got an infection or needing to take antibiotics, I thought was a major achievement. And this is what I was doing through it. And I thought that kind of built my immunity and helped me survive and hence recover faster.
What were the key five ingredients, if you could just quickly tell us?
The greens, so you put the greens, you put the spinach or whatever. You put the greens in, you put the berries in, which are antioxidants, and you put some fruit in and vegetables. So it can be a carrot or a doody. So you do a bit of fruit, veggie, green. I do a mix of everything. I don't do a fruit separately and a veggie separately. It's just too complicated. So I just put everything in together and I add ginger. I add turmeric. I add a bit of amla. I add a bit of cinnamon and a little bit of dates to kind of, just get the taste good.
Make it a little more palatable. So, what about exercise? I For a long time I saw that your greatest source of joy was taking Icy for a walk, but now you can't go out. So, what are you doing?
I have to share this with you. So when I came back last year, the first thing that I did was I taught IC to walk on the treadmill.
What?
Yes, can you believe it?
So, Icy racks up the miles, and you sit next to it and go, "Well, I just finished 10 kilometers."
Feel like I'm taking her for her walk. It's just that bond. And so the idea behind it is that that you can find a way to anything. I didn't want her to miss her long walks, especially on the beach. But when she would come back, and then she wouldn't be able to come close to me because my immunity was really low. So the idea was to give her the exercise and keep her next to me. And it was a bit selfish, but she's go back onto the beach now. Again, in quarantine now, no, it's not possible, but she was getting back to it. So that's how it started. So there are different situations, and we just need to adapt to it. For me, when I came back, body was in. I think I was like a 90-year-old. I didn't want to come out in a wheelchair, so I walked out. But I was literally, Goldie was holding me, or like I literally was. It was very difficult to walk. So from there to being able to do various things, exercise, physiotherapy has been a huge thing in my life in that sense. You just have to be consistent and you have to just keep doing it. So in this lockdown, what I did was that there's something that I've always been wanting to try out, and I always said one day, one day. So I'm using this time to teach myself yoga, and I have started the practice of Ashtanga yoga, and I'm really enjoying it. I started with a 15-20 minute practice, and I think I've gone to an hour long practice now.